Hey everyone, welcome to Longarm Wednesday. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop, and we're very happy to see you here today. Today we're working on loading a quilt. I'm going to show you how I do it. It's a little one. I actually have one that matches it, so I can see what it's going to show you what it's going to look like when it's ends up being finished. Okay, so when you take your backing, whether depending on how your pattern is, if you're doing a panto or you have the computer like I do, you can actually squish and stretch the pattern to fit in the space you're going to be stitching in. So, and channel locks, make sure you're on the 0 and the 90 and everything's nice and square. I do pin mine, but there is leader grips or snaps or such and such, and they actually go in, there's a little channel hole in the center of this this canvas here. Hopefully you can see that on the GoPro camera there. And it ends up just sliding right in, and then you end up locking your fabric by squishing it between the bar and the little snap grip or whatever the little grip. Anyway, you just end up popping it all the way down. I don't like them. I've used them on a few projects, and even as I'm rolling, I'll get one corner that comes out or what have you. I've never ever been happy with them. I thought it was kind of a waste of money, but nonetheless, it's here for someone else to use if they so wish it. So I don't use them. I pin, and I've been pinning for 4 years now. And I go and I find the center of my backing. Okay, taking it, hopefully it's square. You have to rely on your customer or yourself to make sure that their stuff is square. If not, then you're going to have to do some extra work. Okay, find the center bit just like that. I put a little chalk mark, so you can see right in there, very tiny little chalk mark. And then I have the centers marked on my leaders, and I just line that straight up. Okay, and then I do a pin, and I pin right at the center, and then I work my way from right to left. Okay, now hopefully you can see that a bit in the GoPro camera. Okay, just try and move it along so you can see it. I'm just pinning it nice, and I'm trying to keep my pins nice and even as well. Like keeping them in a nice row. You don't want them too wonky, you don't want them going down sideways, you don't want them poking down in or poking up or anything like that. You just want to keep them in a nice, even, straight line as much as you can. Okay. And I just have my big magnetic bowl that carries all my pins. It's right here. Okay, and the bottom is very magnetic, so if I drop anything, I can just, you know, tap it down to the floor, and it usually picks everybody up, sort of thing, without too much of an issue. Okay. Don't put the pins in your mouth. That's a horrible idea at any point in time, no matter what you're doing. Long arming or sewing. Okay, just put a little stack up there and just grab one at a time. Okay, oops. Ooh, where are you going? I'm trying to get so you guys can see it on the GoPro. I don't know if you have the long arm head that way. Sorry. Moving it along. We had an amazing 12-hour live stream on Saturday. It was so much fun. It was so lovely to see so many names, and everybody popped in, and they stayed a long time, they stayed a little time. It was all very much appreciated. We had a great time. And Lois was fantastic. She's an awesome assistant. Can't wait to go down to her quilt shop one day and help her out. Okay, hold on. Let's go over here. Okay. Just trying to show you. So move back over here a bit. Maybe you can see a bit better. Not sure how Munchkin's gonna piece this together, but hopefully you can actually see what I've been working on, or how I'm going about it. Oop, that one hit the floor. Okay. And then you'll do it the same for the other side, making sure you're rolling it so it's taut. You may have to roll it back and forth along the rails a few times, or the rollers, to get it so it lays nice and flat. Okay. Beautiful flannel backing on this one, and you don't want to stretch it. You don't want, because there is a bit of a stretch to flannel, but not to the point you really want to distort anything that's happening, like on the background, the pattern or anything. You don't really want to stretch those circles so they look like ovals. Line it up best you can. Okay, just put her away here. What I'm doing. Oop, 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 oop. Come back here. It's like a little pin shovel. And if it's a really, really big quilt and it goes all the way out to the edges, I will take, and this is a Angie, just one more book to read tip. She would go the opposite direction with one of the pins to make sure it was really secure in those corners, because there's a lot of tug on them, right? Trying to even it up a little bit better, but you get the jibby. You make sure that extra corner has an extra pin in it just to keep it sturdy. You don't want anything ripping or tearing to hurt the quilt or ruin your project, right? Or customer project. All right, so there's the top. Okay, we're gonna move this back just a smidgy so I can roll it up a bit, and so I can work on the bottom. Okay. Make sure my canvas stays as straight as possible, and tweak it up to the point where I can grab the bottom part of the canvas and bring it up to start pinning. Okay, here. And again, I have a mark in my center right there, and then I put a mark on here with a chalk mark, a little tiny one. I'll get you back over here. Okay. A little tiny chalk mark right there, and I'm lining it up right in the center of the fabric here. Okay. Don't know if you can see that. And then again, you just keep pinning along. I find the bottom's a little bit easier to do because you can kind of use the pocket. Use the little canvas here as a pocket to pop a few pins in and go along. And again, try and keep the line as straight as possible. Let's go just a smidgy more. I'm just hoping you can see that. Again, try and keep those pins in a nice straight line. Yeah, and unfortunately YouTube cut off like the last 10 minutes of the 12-hour live stream, so you didn't see us saying goodbye and Munchkin saying goodbye and everybody. I mean, it was such a good, fantastic day, and they cut it off. They could have cut off 10 minutes of one of the breaks, for Pete's sakes, but no. Silly YouTube. Okay, back over to this side. And always work for the center out, because you really need to make sure your quilt is center, your backing is center, your batting is pretty much center. I mean, you can, scoot to one side if you like. I mean, but that's, you take those risks if you want to make sure you have enough. Because sometimes batting shifts as it's going down the quilt, and you wouldn't want to end up with too short. Okay. Trying to be nice and even with the pins. And that way it rolls nice and even. You wouldn't want one side to be a little bit higher or lower, because it's going to throw off your whole quilt. A little bit there, we go. If you set it all up nice and straight to begin with, you should end up nice and straight in the end. And keep going. Okay, those ones here. Take our little container, put it off over here. then we're just going to roll the bottom just a little bit. I have to straighten the canvas here. Got to get a little fold in it. Okay. Oh, got one there. And then we're just going to roll it back and forth until I feel it is where it needs to be before I start loading the batting. Okay, there we go. Okay, there. Now we'll back up here. And because you can see a little bit of the stretch with the flannelette. So try not to yank it. You just want to gently roll it so it's all going to stay together. Okay, there we go. We're good. After this, hold them down there. Okay, and then here, lock it there in those positions. Whoopsies. Okay. Then I'll take my side clamps. And I'm just going to just hold the backing, just so it's making it nice and straight. We're not getting any wrinkles or puckers or anything else going on the back side here. Just going to hold it. Okay. And then we take our batting and we measure where we want to put it. Oh, there it is. Okay. And this is big, well big enough for the piece that we got going on here. So just move the head just a smidgy so we can get it laid out. Okay. Oops. Come back here. Okay. Lay it out all the way. Beautiful piece of backing and batting. Look at that. It's bang on. Amazing. I love it. So is the other one too. Okay. We know that's on there. And then when we go to lay out the top, oh, I thought I had it out already. So here's the top. This is number 2. I've done one already, and I'll show that to you. So there's the top. And depending if you had a directional pattern, because of the heart is going a certain way, you really would want to make sure you're setting it up correctly. If you got bunny rabbits and bears and dogs and so on and so forth running across, you don't really want them up and down, unless you do. I mean, that's up to you. I would probably try and put them this way. Okay. So again, take it, find the center. Now hopefully the project is nice and square. I don't usually put a mark on the front of the tops. I just do a little pinch, hold it tight, and then line it up to my line. And try and snug it up to the top as much as I can to conserve fabric, but without hitting my needles. I know I need some space, right? So try and keep the line straight up with this line and the line right there for the center. Smooth it out. Smooth it out. Such beautiful. I love all these fabrics. And it's the Orchard, Tabriz Orchard fabric, or thread that she chose. It's kind of like one of these lighty pinky purples. It's beautiful. For both of them. Okay, so now that is that. We got it all loaded. Now we come back with Walt, and I'll go and make it so it's in manual mode, and we will stitch down from the center over to the left and the center over to the right and start squaring this up. Okay, so I'm in the center. I'm putting my dot, or say my needle, about, I'd say 1/8 to 1/4 away from the edge. I'm going to hit the 0 mark, do a single stitch so I can bring up the bobbin thread to the top. It's in my lock position, it's not going anywhere, so I could try and move it back and forth and that's going to go. But side to side, it's going to. So it's locked in the 0. I hit start, and I'm just going to slowly make sure I'm coming as close to the edge as possible. But I'm also making sure that it's staying lined up, and it's staying lined up center or precisely on that line. Okay. And just move slowly. There's no rush when it comes to this. You just want to make sure it's nice and even as you go and put your base stitch in. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to lock it over on the 90. And since I seem to be about the same distance away, I'm going to put her on down in a nice straight line. You just want to really hold those edges together, be squaring up the quilt as you're going. And this gives a nice place for the binding to get stitched to without you having to fight with like 3 flappy edges. It gets a nice little stitch all the way around, like a little stabilizing stitch. Okay, so I work no matter the size of the quilt. I always work from the center to the corner and down, and then to the center of the corner and down. That is the best way to make sure that things are nice and square as you're starting and ending. And same with when you're doing the bottom part. You'll do when you get to the bottom, based across from the center, out and up, and then center, out and up. Okay. And make sure you're lining it up with your other stitches that you've just done for the 0 to make sure you're going in the other direction. Okay, so there we go. That was on the same line. Look how beautiful that was. And we just put her across. Making sure, like, our fabric isn't coming all the way up here, it's not moving all the way down there. We're trying to make sure it's got the same positioning on the edge as all the way around. Nice and even. Okay, nice and even. As long as your borders are straight, there should be no issues. Okay, and then again, switching it to the 90 and coming straight down. Help you try and keep the fabric straight as you're going. Okay. All right, there's the end of my bar. That's as far as I can go. Do some locking stitches. And then as I roll the quilt, I baste the sides, set the pattern up, and away we go. So what I would do after this point here, I'd actually roll it just a little bit more so I have the optimal space for stitch out. So I'll do that so you can see just how I would click it out. Oh, well, put that up. Just a smidgy. Just needs to be a little bit more so I can get optimal from getting the where welt can reach all the way up to the top. Okay. Straighten everything. Of course, always making sure your hands are clean and washed before you even touch anybody's quilts or even your own. I mean, you don't want to mess them up. Okay. So it's just taut. It's not stretched or anything. So then I'd go and pick my pattern. And then we have a beautiful heart swirl pattern. And I'll go and pick my edges, so say edge to edge. And I want it to stitch here, which is within the area and possibly not be covered up by binding. Okay. And then we go all the way over to the other side. That would be the first click out. This would be like the second click out. And then down here, you would want it in from the edge because you don't want your pattern to go over there. You'd want it to stay within the line. And that would be the third click out. And then because I can't go anymore, the bar is already at the farthest. And this would be the fourth click out. And then would sit a pattern if I wanted more densely quilted or loosely quilted, I can change it from there without any issue. So that is how you load a quilt. It's very simple and easy, just a little time. And once you finish all your programming or your quilting, you end up with something just as beautiful as this one right here. It's a lovely heart stitch out. You can see that in the camera. Isn't that beautiful? And a beautiful pink dotted backing. I just love it. It's beautiful. This is one of Mary S.'s quilts. Well, I guess 2 now. So we're just going to finish that up for our Wednesday show. You'll see a bit of footage of it stitching. And you guys have an amazing day. Thank you again for everybody for your help and participation and helping raise the roof so we could do that 12 hours on Saturday. That was so much fun. And we're doing it again on the 21st of December. So can't wait. Book it. Book the day off, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I think that seems to be a good time. Gives me a chance to wake up in the morning and play with Sophie and then, you know, putter about. I did pretty good. I stayed awake a while afterwards, actually. I think it was too wound up. That's okay. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, liking, and subscribing. We appreciate it so very much. Big hugs. Enjoy. Bye-bye.